Hello, everybody. This is Max Cavalera from Sepultura, Killer BQ, Nailbomb, Soulfly, Cavalera Conspiracy, and Go Ahead and Die. And you listen to the Vinyl Guide, Vinyl or Die.
Well, thank you, Max. Just to be clear, I'm planning to do both eventually. All right, hey there, Vinyl Maniacs. It's Nate here with episode 279 of the Vinyl Guide, the podcast where we talk records, music stories, and more. Subscribe to our podcast to enjoy all these conversations. And today, as you've heard, we have an absolutely amazing guest, the one, the only, Max Cavalera. And besides discussing his new project, Go Ahead and Die, a great album he just made with his son, we'll be covering Max's history with vinyl records, the music that inspired him as a young man and made him who he is today. We talk about the early Sepultura records and the stories behind those, even discussing the tapes and some of the artwork of the albums. Max tells a story about shaving his head for an imported pressing of Ride the Lightning. He shares stories of working with Dave Grohl on the Probot project, making crank phone calls with Mike Patton, why you didn't want to fall asleep near Dimebag Darryl, and heaps more. It is an episode chock full of great rock and roll stories and perspective by a true king of kings, Mr. Max Cavalera. And by the way, there is a longer and extended version of this interview at patreon.com/vinylguide. Head up there now, help support our podcast, get access to all sorts of extra goodies, secret episodes, extended interviews, and more. Plus, you help support this podcast, and that is huge for us. That's patreon.com/vinylguide, and thank you in advance for your support. And finally, if you enjoy this conversation, there are tons of other episodes you may want to check out. Search the episode history of the Vinyl Guide, and you could hear these sort of discussions with the likes of Buzz Osborne of Melvins, Tommy Clufetus, Rick Nielsen of Cheap Trick, Trevor Dunn, Trey Spruance, and Bear McKinnon of Mr. Bungle, Michael Shanker, Dave Lombardo, and literally hundreds more. Subscribe to the Vinyl Guide on your podcast app, search our back catalog, and enjoy. So, let's kick it off with our conversation with the legend himself, Mr. Max Cavalera. Hello. ¿Cómo está?
How you doing?
And there goes the end of my high school Spanish.
That's it.
Max Cavalera, you are a legend. Absolutely. You are, you know what? Forget Bruce Springsteen. I think you're the boss.
I'm the boss.
You're the boss. You're the boss. You're the grand poobah. And let me tell you, this new album, Go Ahead and Die. Oh, chef's kiss. Mwah. Fantastic. My goodness.
Thank you, man.
That is phenomenal.
It's very grunt. It's a very grunt record.
Hey, it doesn't pull any punches. In fact, it throws quite a few more. Now, is this your first project with Igor?
It is, yeah. Like a full record, yeah.
Oh, okay. And making a record with your son, what was the approach you took that was different from, say, working with other musicians?
Well, the thing about Igor that it's really interesting to me is that I was always connected to him because when he was 1 year old, he was diagnosed with diabetes. And it was diabetes type 1. And it was like, me and Gloria as parents, we have to learn everything there is to know about the disease. And me and her, we became in charge of the finger pokes and the insulin shots. And many, many times I'll have to do a concert. I'll be on tour and I have to do a concert and get out of the stage. And before I even shower or anything, I'll grab the needle and give him a shot of insulin to make sure he's okay. You know, so because of that, a couple of things happened. It created a bond between us. And for some reason, we end up liking the same metal through the years. And we always loved the same bands. And we're always talk about the same love of the extreme side of metal. And that never went away. So it was even like he wasn't even my son anymore. He's like my friend. It's like my old high school buddy that I had. If I had a friend in high school, I lost contact with him and I got in touch with him again, and we liked the same music. That was my relationship with Igor. The other thing was the something cool that came out of it was we did a fund with the Phoenix through the hospital, and we got a lot of money raised for poor families to buy the equipment, and I feel very good about that. We don't publicize very much. We don't really talk much about it, but we do help them a lot throughout all the 20 years that we've been doing the fund. We help thousands and thousands of families, man, and it feels good that you know that you're doing something like that for people that doesn't have the means to take care. And as far as the record, I was really proud to work with him because he reminded me so much of a young Max, hard-headed. I had lots of arguments with him about stuff that he wanted a certain way, and I was pulling for something else. But he was so hard-headed, I was not gonna get my way, and I'm glad I didn't. And it's cool. It's as this record is as much as it is his than it is mine. It's not a Max Cavalera thing. It's a Max and Igor thing, and we did it together. And it feels really cool that we decided to share. There was even some funny stuff because I hate writing lyrics, and I'll write a line, and he'll be like a lyrical police, like, nope, you already used that 10 years ago. I already heard you singing that 1,000 times. You cannot use that line. You cannot use, so it was kind of funny. Like, he was like a total police, lyrical police. But it was cool because it really made me come out of the shell and have to come up with some cool stuff.
I think you found your new producer.
Yeah, man, it's cool. Like, the kid really knows what he wants. He doesn't budge, and he's very talented, man. He played all the bass on the whole record. I was very impressed. I didn't know. I was like, are you sure you can do it? I had to go do some Killer BQ videos, so I didn't show up in the studio for 2 days. I came back and the whole thing was done, recorded. Amazing. I was like, okay, you can do it. I'm convinced now.
Look, I got to tell you, I love my dad, but the worst job I ever had was working with him, because all the arguments and all the things we discussed at work got brought back to the table, and I never got to get away from the mistakes I made. How were you as a father through this process?
Man, I don't know. I get criticized a lot by my wife. She'll say, you're not their friend, you're their father. And I have a hard time doing that because I'm more of a friend than I'm a father. Mm-hmm. I'm really bad at disciplining. One of the things that he did, and he got mad at me later for it, he made me get him out of school. He didn't want to go to school anymore. And he knew that I quit school real early to do music. So he was like, I'm going to be like my dad, So he made me take him out of school. And I didn't know how to do that properly. So I invented a lie. I told the school that we were moving to Portugal. And the family's moving to Portugal, and Igor's got to, he's got to leave the school. He can't stay in school anymore. But I forgot to tell my wife about it. So the school calls Gloria and start talking about her. Oh, I'm sorry about hearing about you. You guys going to Portugal. And she's like, Portugal? What's going on in Portugal? So I got caught in that lie. And then later on, Igor gets mad at me because he wanted to continue his studies and all this shit. And I was like, you made me take you out of school, But yeah, I'm not good at disciplining. I never spanked them or anything like that. My dad never did that to me either. So I don't know. It's more kind of like I treat them more like friends, and I just kind of like happen that they end up being musicians. So I treat them more like band members than sons, Just a couple of times I had to be kind of like a tough dad where I tell Zion, if you don't play this song, you don't get an allowance this month. You
got to practice your double bass or no dessert.
That's it. Or is there a song? There's a song that I really like on the set list that he hates playing that song. You better play that song or you don't get your money at the end of the month.
All right. So, Max, this show is about vinyl and vinyl collecting. And, of course, Go Ahead and Die. I've seen some fantastic splatter pressings up at the nuclearblast.de shop. Does vinyl play much of a role in your life?
Yeah, it did back in the beginning when we first started, of course. And I kind of went through a phase. When I was a kid, I liked it very much. In fact, I had the whole Kiss collection on vinyl, almost every Kiss record, and I sold it to get a tattoo, which I kind of regretted a little bit later. But it's so cool because about a year ago, I was on tour. 2 years ago, I was on tour with Soulfly, and a fan came to the bus, and he told me that he heard that story about me selling my Kiss collection, and he felt bad, and he gave me the Kiss collection all over again on vinyl, man. Which was incredible. It was all like beautiful, a lot of first pressing of the Kiss records, and I still like Kiss, so it was like, yes, this is awesome. But I went through a phase where for a long time I did not have a turntable, so I kind of like stopped buying vinyl. A lot of my Brazilian vinyls got lost when I lived in Brazil, and now I'm back. I got a turntable. I got one for Christmas, and I'm back at collecting vinyl again, which is cool. I collect in vinyl and headphones, so those two collections are going strong now.
Are you finding yourself buying a lot more vinyl than you thought you would?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think that's kind of, especially if there's a record that you really like. I'm not satisfied with just listening to it on an iPad. There's no fun involved with it. It's kind of like sex with your clothes on, so it's like fucking, you gotta have the vinyl. If I like a record, I'll buy the vinyl, and so it's kind of like where I am with it now. So because you get the thing on your hands, physical, you smell it, you get the lyrics. There's a whole ritual involved, which is a lost art. These new kids don't know nothing about this ritual of putting the needle, putting the vinyl, the needle on the vinyl, and you have to get off your ass to turn to side B. They're too lazy to do that, so there's a whole ritual involved vinyl, man. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful ritual.
Yeah, your brain resets for side 2, which is always good. It's like a cool drink of water on a long walk.
Right, yeah. It depends on what kind of turntable you have. Mine doesn't flip the disc on its own. I got to do it manually. The cool thing about the turntable, I got it, though, that is actually Bluetooth. So I can actually get my favorite headphone that has Bluetooth, and I can listen to the records without bothering anybody in the house, But it's a lost art form, man. It's really cool. I'm really glad that's making a comeback. It's really awesome.
Did any of your vinyl from Brazil survive to your collection today? Were you able to hang on to any of it?
Some of it, and I'm really glad some of them did, which is kind of like the original Ride the Lightning that I cut my hair for it. And that one's great because it's got a great story. My cousin wanted me to go, be a normal citizen of society. And I had long hair. I was a rock and roller already, and listened to Venom and Slayer and Metallica. And it was very expensive because those were imported. And he said to me, if you cut your hair, I'll buy you any vinyl that you want in the store. And I already had my eye on Ride the Lightning, and I go, that one, I want that one. And he bought it for me. I went home with my shaved head, he went all out. He like, you're not just
a haircut. It was shave your head.
It was like military style. The guy was kind of a bastard. He was a cruel bastard. And so he took me to a barber, and pretty much told the barber, shave the fucker off, like get rid of all the hair. So I look like a skinhead kid, but I got Ride the Lightning. And there's a famous Brazilian say, if hair was really important, it would not grow around your ass. So with that in mind, I was like, you know what? My hair will grow back again. No big deal. I got imported Metallica, imported Ride the Lightning, and I love this record. And so that one survived. I still have that one today in my collection.
And your hair grew back. That's good. Now,
And my hair grew back. I had dreadlocks, and I cut them too.
I'm fascinated by this. What other records do you have that have stories like that?
Well, some of the other ones doesn't have such a good stories like that. But I do have a Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon that came with a poster, and I never seen that anywhere else. And somehow I don't remember buying that. That's the fascinating thing. I don't know where the album came from. And it's in my collection. And I might have to have a chat with Gloria about that one. Maybe it's from her collection.
Do you remember your first record?
Oh yeah, Kiss Alive 2.
Ah, got it. And tell me the story of that. You went to the store, I imagine, and saw the cover. How did you come to have Kiss Alive 2 as your first record?
So Queen came to play in Brazil in 1981. They were touring for the game. It was the event of the year. It was the rock event of the year. Sold out foot soccer stadium. 100,000 people. My cousin, the same cousin that cut my hair, took us to see Queen. See, he was a complicated fella. At one point he's trying to make us go normal, but at the same time he's taking me to go see Queen, which is not going to end up being a good thing because you're pretty much turning me and Igor into rock and rollers. It's like taking you to church, and you're gonna eventually become a Christian if you go to that church. So right. We went to the Church of Queen, and man, they rock out. It was amazing. I remember thinking, this is the greatest thing ever. The lights, Freddie Mercury with the crowd in the palm of his hands. The next day, we got some money from my mom. We went to right downtown in São Paulo, and I bought Queen Live Killers, and Igor bought Kiss Alive 2. And we just listened to those nonstop, man. It was great. I stand by my I like Kiss a lot, but I think that Queen Live Killers, it's a pretty damn good record.
Oh, I absolutely concur. So are those the records that made you want to be a musician?
They want us. They want me to be rock and rollers. We were, and wasn't. I don't think there was even metalheads at that time. It was like rock and rollers. We used to hang out. There was a place called Grupo Ama, and it was like an institute for learning guitar and drums. And it was always these long hair guys hanging out in front of it with like AC/DC t-shirts and Deep Purple t-shirts and Zeppelin, Black Sabbath. And we felt attracted to those guys. They were a little older than us. Because of those records, we were like on the path. We were on the rock and roll path because of that Queen concert, because of those records. And then the coolest thing, and I that's the one record I wish I had, was my father was a big Italian music fan of opera. And every day between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, he would come home from work. We had siesta in Brazil, like the Spanish do. And he'll come home and he had a real nice stereo system, and you play opera for 2 hours. He was just lay down on a couch and listen to opera. Nobody could bother him. It was like his sacred time. Anyway, after he died, I went on his record collection for curiosity. Like, let's go. I want to see all these fucking opera records, And I'm going through them. It's like Beethoven, there's like Bach and Tchaikovsky, and out of the blue, there's a fucking Black Sabbath one record in there. And I almost lost it. I was like, Black Sabbath. Yes, that's the band that the guys wear the shirts. I was telling Igor, our dad had a Black Sabbath album. He was hip. he was a hip guy, you know. And then I kept looking, and I found Led Zeppelin 4. So he also had Led Zeppelin 4, you know, the four symbols. So I think my dad was a curious guy. Like, I think opera was his main thing. But yeah, he did have Black Sabbath, and he did had Led Zeppelin. I don't know how much he listened of those records.
But it's good that he was open to that. He may have seen them being popular and thought to try him out and see what he thought of them. That's very
that's probably why he bought it, because there was some disco shit in there, just some Bee Gees and ABBA and some shit like that. But that one, I wish I had that one, man, because that one is like connected to my dad. My dad died, you know, and I was a shithead as a young, so I don't know what happened to that record. One time I also found Aqualung on a trash in Brazil on the street. Somebody threw that record away. Like, I don't know why. It was just sitting on a trash. And I took it home, and it's like, this is pretty cool. Jethro Tull, Aqualung. What the fuck is this, you know? And me and Igor, we put it on. We listened to, it wasn't quite Iron Maiden. We were expecting Iron Maiden, but you know, it was free. It was in the trash.
Sure.
So that's always a bonus, you know.
So what was the record that made you really want to pick up an instrument? The one where the penny dropped and you said, I want to be playing. I want music to be, I want to participate in this.
So again, it wasn't really a record. It was a band, you know. So we went to see this Brazilian festival in the north of our state, Minas Gerais. And there was a band called Dorsal Atlantica. They are from Rio de Janeiro, and they sounded like Venom. And I just remember being blown away. I think the singer got on the stage, and the first thing he said was like, you know, fuck your God, we're gonna play metal, you know. And I was like, wow, this is the greatest thing ever. And I remember talking to Igor, like, hey man, those guys are Brazilian and they're playing and they sound like Venom. We can do that. We can make that, right? So but if I have to say to pick an international record that made me want to play, probably Venom, you know, probably black metal, probably Venom black metal will be the one that, you know, because Venom, the cool thing about Venom is that they were metal, but they were caveman metal that you could actually still play the riffs. Right. They wasn't very sophisticated, you know. That's the thing that divided the punk metal bands from the stuff like Van Halen. Nobody can fucking play Van Halen. Only Eddie can play Eddie. You can try. I mean, it's gonna be like a million hours before you get maybe half of the fucking riff of a Van Halen record, where from a Venom record, you can get the Welcome to Hell riff. Even if you're not a good guitar player, you can do it. Yeah. You can play it. And you know, and at that time we did some covers of Slayer, we did Black Magic, and of course, you know, always Smoke on the Water, one of the first riffs I remember.
Sure. And
that's a great riff. You know, I always think of that being the simplest, most effective riff of all time. Yeah. You know,
Smoke on the Water and Paranoid. That's generally the entry points to pick up a guitar.
Yeah.
And get going within the week.
Yeah. Although my first riff that I learned was actually Heaven and Hell, which is a little bit more complicated. Mm-hmm. It's so I was a bit more ambitious than, you know, I wasn't very satisfied with just Smoke on the Water or Paranoid. I was like, all right, let's try this Heaven and Hell thing. It looks like I can probably get this lick done if I really work on it. So, you know, I worked for a week on it, and I got it, man. You know, I was like, and then I was showing off. Everybody that came to my house, like, listen what I can play, you know, and a lot of them, like, don't even know Black Sabbath is. Like, oh, great, good for you, man. You're doing good.
So tell me about Bestial Devastation. That was the first time I believe you were on record. Is that right?
We'll be back after these messages.
Hey everyone, I gotta tell you about the Groove Washer, a record cleaner I use every day, and I've used it for years with nothing but excellent results. Not all record cleaners are equal, and not all of them are proved safely tested long-term for record storage. I mean, God forbid you get one of those cheap no-name brand record cleaners only to find out 5 years later that it slowly ruined your vinyl collection. Get a Groove Washer, ask for it by name at your local record shop, or go to groovewasher.com and use discount code VinylGuide10 at checkout. That's the Groove Washer record cleaner, groovewasher.com, promo code VinylGuide10. Now, we're also brought to you today by AudiophileuSA.com, the used record shop that only sells excellent and near-mint vinyl records. With over 42,000 titles in stock, AudiophileuSA.com ships anywhere in the world. No need to guess the condition of anything at AudiophileuSA.com. All the records look pretty goddamn new and gorgeous, even if they have sat in storage for a few decades. Head up there now, AudiophileuSA.com, search by genre, label, artist, dig deep and find the deals. Get a box of goodies today from AudiophileuSA.com, home of the Holy Grails.
Now we return to the program, already in progress.
No limits.
Tell me about Bestial Devastation. That was the first time I believe you were on record. Is that right? What's the story of that?
So yeah, we got signed with Cogumelo Record, which is a Brazilian label from Belo Horizonte. And the reason we got signed was because we were horrible, like we didn't really play very cohesive. The instruments didn't match each other. Most of the time I was out of tune. But he went to see one of our shows. It was kind of like a battle of the bands show. And we got on the stage and I start cussing just like the guy from Dorso said. I was like imitating him, fuck your God and fuck your institutions, fuck your society. And, of course, there was a lady right in front of me and she cut my mic off so nobody could hear what I was saying. So I got really pissed off at her. I went right up in front of her and I spat on her face right there, and that created like a big riot. Security guys on the stage. The lady's like throwing shit at me. I'm pissed off. I'm still spitting. And the owner of the Cogumelo saw this whole thing go down and he goes and come to meet us backstage and goes, listen, I got to be very honest. Your music sucks. It's horrible, but your attitude is golden. You guys are like the Sex Pistols. We have to record you. Can you get a little better on the music side? Can you guys work on the music side a little bit? And I'll put you on a record with another band. And the other band was Overdose. They're already, the darlings of the metal scene. They're like the Brazilian Iron Maiden. Mm-hmm. And we were like the Brazilian Sex Pistols, I guess. We were fucking deplorable. And no girls who look at us. We're all like the ugly, dirty guys. But we got our shit together and a lot of practice, and we managed to squeeze 4 songs out of it, which became the 4 songs on Bestial Devastation, which I had conversations with people that they believe that this record is one of the prototypes of extreme metal, because it's so early, in extreme metal world. It's before Death, it's before Morbid Angel, is of course before Mayhem, before Entombed. Mm-hmm. So it's a very early example of extreme metal, and it was done by a bunch of Brazilian teenagers, man. I'm always proud of that,
Mm-hmm. Well, that's where sometimes you get the most creative moments when someone has nothing to lose and they go for the gut.
Yeah, and I remember in the studio, like the engineer was like, "What's that thing? It's a distortion pedal, man. Well, we're not using that, right? Yes, we are. We need this shit's gotta sound like a buzzsaw, Otherwise, it sounds like hippie music, man."
So the first press of that, they had 1,000 copies made, and then about 3 months later, about 8,000 copies made. So to me, that suggests that the record company wasn't sure how the popularity would be, but then was happily surprised by that and then just really quadrupled down on the split. Is that how you remember it?
Yeah, and I'm sure now they're very valuable, in the market. I don't know, somewhere. I wish I had. I wish I had one of those. I have a couple of Cogumelo records, the lost tapes of Cogumelo, and a couple of Chacal and Mutilator. But the way we saw it, I mean, the guy was he was an entrepreneur doing a gamble, man. He didn't have a label before. He wasn't experienced. He was a record store owner. Like Cogumelo was a record store. They were not a label, so he was learning with us about the ropes. So that, I think, that was what was cool. We're in it together. But we did a lot of work to make that popular. We went to São Paulo to play, and we went to Rio, and tried to like really spread the name. And I remember the first reviews that came from that record, especially international, like stuff like Kerrang was like, they like it. They say it was good. With headlines like "Boys from the Jungle," making metal, crazy shit like that. But it didn't bother that they thought we were from the jungle. It's like, it's I guess it's an attraction for foreigners, that they think that we're from the jungle, but
at least they were writing about you. I mean, that's the
yeah. That's the way we look at it. Talk shit or good, but talk about me. But when we did our second record, which is Morbid Visions, and that's really amazingly, that one is actually out of tune. The record itself is out of tune, and I think that's why the black metal guy like it so much, because it's a fucked up record from beginning to the end. I think the guitar player Gyro he recorded all his parts and left and didn't stay with me to make sure I was in tune. And I never really care about tuning my guitar, because it never occurred to me that tuning was part of being a guitar player. So all my parts were out of tune. Everything I'm playing is totally not matching, are the same riffs, but you get that dissonant vibe throughout the whole record, man. Which is, it made it for, I guess some black metal guys do that on purpose these days. They play out of tune on purpose to get that sound. But we did it on accident. It was just like, it was just an accident. The guy wasn't there. The studio guy couldn't give two fucks about my guitar playing. Like, he was just getting paid to record. If I went to the microphone and farted for 2 hours, he would have recorded that. He did not care. He gave zero fucks about the recording.
As long as the check cleared.
Yeah. One of those guys.
So those Cogumelo records, do the tapes still exist? Do you know if the original tapes exist and somewhere out there, is someone taking care of them, or are things lost?
I believe they exist. The owner, João, he probably has it. I know that we have the artwork. My mother has the artwork, which has got an amazing story, because the guy that painted, he was an evangelical and hardcore evangelical Brazilian. Like, his house didn't have a TV because his father thought TV was a product of the devil. One of those hardcore evangelical guys. And we asked this guy, because he was a great painter. He was a friend of ours, and he was a great painter. He used to painted, metal shirts for us, like Slayer cover and Voivod covers. But he had to paint that at 2 a.m. when all the family was asleep. So he painted that in his room, and then he put the record under his bed, so nobody, his mother and father, would not find the record. So it was like a total clandestine operation, and it was all done in canvas, and he finished, and we use it. And somehow, I don't know how, my mother owns that now. She has that in Brazil. I don't know how she got it, but I told her that that's mine. That's coming to my house one day.
Yeah, you got to save those artifacts from back then. Those are that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's really, really. I don't know how she got it, and I think the tapes. I'm pretty sure that the owner of Cogumelo have the original tape. I hope. My hope is that he still has it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there was a reissue, the Roadrunner album some time ago in a box set. So I'm assuming those exist. But I wasn't sure about the.
Yeah. I think the Roadrunner they do exist, and I remember when we did Schizophrenia, which is the last Cogumelo record we did. They were really banking on us because Morbid Vision got really well accepted. And they gave us a double cover for the first time. We had a double cover with a cool picture inside, and I think we even made a commercial for TV. It was a fucked up commercial. It was like all of us inside the record store, like drinking beer with our fake bullet belts made out of batteries, and holding the record, telling people you should buy this because this is kick-ass metal. I don't know, something like that. But they put that on Brazilian TV for a commercial, and that was pretty cool. But I remember that something happened with Morbid Visions. There was a German label called Shark Records that put the record out in Europe without the license from Cogumelo. So it was pretty much a bootleg version of Morbid Vision was out in Europe as a bootleg. And I think you can still find copies of Morbid Visions under Shark Records.
Oh, yeah, I see, with the red label. It doesn't have the gatefold either. Okay.
And what a great name for a label that's going to rip you off and be a thief to call it Shark Records. This guy was onto something. He's like, I'm not going to just rip you off. I'm calling my label Shark Records, motherfucker.
Yes. A division of Amalgamated Shoplifting.
Yeah.
Hey, all right. So look, Max, I know we have some limited time here. Again, I do want to remind folks of the new album, Go Ahead and Die, available on vinyl at the nuclearblast.de shop. I wanted to just go through a few funny memories or good memories or funny stories. And I'll name someone, and then you tell me if you've got a good memory or a funny story on them. All right?
I'll try my best.
Yeah, no worries. So Eddie Van Halen.
Eddie Van Halen, I love Van Halen as a kid. I used to have a Van Halen book with stuff. I got it from magazines, and it was like teenage fan club type thing. Total obsessed with it. I used to buy Van Halen cassettes, live recordings. But I never got to meet Eddie, unfortunately. I almost met him once. Was a PV autograph at NAMM, and we are good friends with Mary PV, the owner of PV. And I was there doing my autographs for Soulfly. And then we heard, Eddie Van Halen was going to be next to me signing autographs, and I was in seventh heaven. It's like this is going to be the best day of my life. I cannot believe it. Eddie's going to be in a PV stand with me. I don't know if I can if I can take it. And then of course my dream come crushing when somebody from PV comes around and is saying, Eddie's too drunk. He's not coming today. And it fucking crushed me, man. It crushed me. I was like, no, I was going to meet Eddie, but maybe that was for the best, because I think maybe if I met a drunk Eddie, maybe he would be an asshole to me, tell me to fuck off, and that would have been even worse. So I'm glad. I'm glad that didn't happen. So it's kind of funny that it went down like that. Okay. We almost met.
Yeah. Okay. How about Dimebag Darryl?
Yeah, Dimebag is a character. That one I know really good. Many years of abuse with that guy.
When you think of Dimebag, what's like the funny story, the event that comes to your mind that you had with him?
Well, apart from the stuff that he pulled all the time, which was the norm around the Pantera tour, like fireworks and shit like that. Almost every day you could count on he lighting up fireworks on some roadie that'll be sleeping in the dressing room, and the poor soul the poor guy sleeping on a corner of the dressing room. Next thing I know, there's 10 fireworks up his ass exploding, and you're just watching this thing live, just laughing your ass off, and making a mental note to yourself: do not fall asleep in dressing room, ever. Ever do not do that, because Dimebag will get you. One of my funniest, coolest memories of Dimebag was the beginning of Soulfly, where I went back to the shitholes venues, because split up from Sepultura. For some reason, when you split from your big band and you start over again, you don't go automatically back to the big arenas. You go to the shitholes. We played Dallas and maybe hold 200 people, and Dimebag was there, man. It was really cool. It's like, you came, man. This is so cool. Like, I noticed a lot of other rock people, and I'm not going to mention names, but a lot of them didn't come to see Soulfly. Right. I'm not going to that fucking shithole, to see Max, but Dimebag did. It was cool. And we did 2 tours together, Pantera and Sepultura, and Pantera and Soulfly with Morbid Angel. And it was always amazing. One of my favorite memories of him was going to his house to listen to the Roots record before it was out. We had a advanced copy, and he told me, I'm gonna do right by you, Max. You guys gonna hear Roots the way we need to hear this record. So we sat in his living room. He turned on the fog machine. He turned all the lights on. It's like a fucking concert. And he's got this huge stereo system, and he cranks it up to 10, and we're all headbanging, drinking. And we got to jam the whole record in his house before it came out, like a live show. And I don't know anybody else that ever did that with my music. Again, there was this is like a one of a kind situation. This is so fucking cool that we're doing this on Dimebag's house, But that was just like an amazing display of everything, from being a guest, providing an amazing place to hear the record, being excited about the record. Everything, man. That guy was a great guy.
Yeah. Okay, here's another one. You have a good memory or funny story. Dave Grohl.
Oh yeah, Dave Grohl. We got a couple, man. Dave Grohl used to come see us play Seattle all the time back in the 90s, 91, 92. I'm not sure. I don't think the first tour, I don't think he was there, but definitely 90, 91 came all the time. And in fact, he came the week that we played Seattle, the week that Kurt Cobain died.
Oh, okay.
Which was heavy, and it was everywhere, man. The media exploded, right? And all you hear about was Kurt Cobain. And he left us a note, because he couldn't stay to the end of the show. So he left a note and put on the front of the bus and say, "Hi, this is Dave. I came to the show. The show is fantastic. But unfortunately, because of what's going on with Kurt, the death of Kurt, I can't stay and hang out with you guys. So I just went home, which was real nice of him. And I always knew that he was a fan. And so I reached out to him when I did my book. I thought he loved Roots, like one of his favorite records of all time. So I said, well, I'll get Dave Grohl, huge famous guy, to do the introduction of my book, and let him do whatever he wants with it. And he said the greatest story ever, which is using Roots on his brand new Foo Fighters studio. He just bought it, $10,000 speakers, and he pops in Roots and it blows up the whole system. And I was so proud of that. It was like, yes, that is the trademark of a good record. You see, if your record can blow up a $10,000 speaker, you made the right record, So I just love that story, man. And of course, he invited me to be on a Pro Bar record too, which was a great honor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm so jealous of that idea, man. That idea was like, damn you, Dave. I should have had that idea. Not you. I want to go and record with all my favorite metal guys. What the fuck? That's like a dream come true.
He always has these ideas that make me quasi jealous, but I'm glad someone's doing them, and he's a nice guy that's doing it.
Yeah. So I remember at the beginning of, before it was called Probot, it was just just Dave. Mm-hmm. He was joking, and he said he was going. It was called the FedEx Project because he was FedExing the CDs to all the musicians involved. So I got the CD on a FedEx package, and my CD had 6 songs and had the name of some of the guys on it. So it had I think
Lemmy,
Tom Araya.
was it?
Yeah, Lemmy. I think on the CD, I think he was hoping to have Tom Araya and Phil from Pantera, but that never came to light. But he got King Diamond, he got Lemmy, he got me. He got the guy from Snake from Voivod. Anyway, but that was such a cool record, and that song kick ass. I told you, like, right away when I got it, I called him and said, dude, it sounds like a badass new version of Territory. You plugged in on the vein of Territory and just ran with it, and it was great. It was a great, and I just wrote the lyrics for it, which was about this movie I just saw called The Man Who Would Be King with Michael Caine. Is a brilliant movie, and it's all about 2 guys going to Afghanistan to conquer Afghanistan and becoming kings of Kafiristan or some shit. And in one of the lines of the movie, the guy goes, well, if they want war, we give them Red War. And I was like, that's the name of the song. I'm calling it Red War from this movie, So it was perfect.
All right. Good memory or funny story, Mike Patton.
Oh, yeah, Mike. We got a lot of it. One of my favorites was taking Mike to – my mother is part of a Brazilian ritual spiritual religion called Candomblé. Mm-hmm. And in this religious encounters, there's a lot of possessions, people turning to talking in different languages, and it's bizarre. Mm-hmm. It's pretty hardcore. Mike really want to go to one of those, so I arranged with my mom, and I took Mike with me, and we went in some lady's house in the back of her house. It was all these people dressed in white, and
this is in Brazil.
Yeah, that's okay. in São Paulo. Yeah, so he loved the experience, man. He thought that was the coolest thing ever. In fact, the next day, he went to a Candomblé shop and bought the whole outfit of one of the saints, and that's how he performed the Fate No More show. He was dressed as the Candomblé saint for the show. It was fucking incredible. I was watching that going, this guy's a genius, man. That's a genius idea, Yeah, but we did a lot of crazy mischievous things with Mike. We play Rock in Rio together, and we broke we found out where we were staying in a hotel, and the offices of Rock in Rio were in the hotel. And we made friends with the guy guarding the door of the office, and he let us go in the office, which is a big mistake. So we had all the files of all the Rock in Rio people, and of course we're looking through all of them, and of course we find the file that have every guest in the hotel, and of course Guns N' Roses is in the hotel with us. So we decided to crank call Guns N' Roses guys in the middle of the night. Which was fucking incredible.
Who did you get? Did you get Axl?
We tried Axl first, and it was crazy because it was like we had Igor's wife at the time, and she's like telling him that she's pregnant with his kid. Really fucked up shit like that, and he's all trying to sleep, and he's all like, leave me alone, lady, I don't want to talk to you. And we were like really fucking with him, going, yeah, we're a bunch of skinheads, we're gonna ruin your show tomorrow. Oh man. And I think we got a hold of him, and we got a hold of maybe the drummer. It was either the drummer or I don't know, but it was one of the things that came out of that mischievous night. It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny, man. I don't think they know about this. Who we kept it under wraps, but it's definitely a cool rock and roll story. I know that it wasn't the bass player, because what's his name?
Duff.
Yeah, Duff, because Duff is cool. I like Duff a lot.
Yeah,
you know,
let him sleep.
Yeah. Duff's like, let's not fuck with Duff. Duff is great. Duff's a good guy. But I don't mind fucking with Axel or Slash. We can fuck with those motherfuckers. Got it coming.
All right. Well, let's end on a high note here. Good memory or funny story, Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh yeah, we have 1,000 of those. Ozzy's always been funny and excited. One of my favorite one was going to dinner with him and Sharon. They took us to some fancy restaurant in LA, and I wanted to impress Ozzy. So I saw on the menu they had a drink called cucaracha. That the picture had a drink that came on fire, So he's like, well, I'm gonna impress the Ozman, my chance, I'm gonna make a good impression on Ozzy. So I ordered a goddamn cucaracha. And comes in, but the waiter never told me that you're supposed to drink real fast because there's fucking fire on the glass. There's a big fire. Anyway, I go to drink it, and I'm drinking real slow, and half of my hair is on fire. Half of my side of my whole hair face is on fire. My wife has got the napkin. She's trying to put the fire away. I think Ozzy had a glass of water. He threw the water to put the fire out. And I was like, it was a disaster way to impress him, and I failed many times. Another time we had a photo shoot together, and I'm debating what should I wear for the photo shoot with Ozzy. Oh, I'm going to wear the England national soccer shirt. He's English. He's going to be stoked, So I put that on. I go to do the photo shoot with him, and I look at him and I go, hey, Ozzy, England, soccer, football. I fucking hate football. I hate sports. and I was crushed, man. It's like, I thought I was going to really impress you. But, oh, man, it was so embarrassing. It was so funny. But it was really, really cool relationship with him. At one time, we have our stepson, Richie, went to spend a weekend with the Osbournes. And I guess Ozzy taught him to smoke a cigar, because that was Ozzy's way to tell him that he should stop smoking cigarettes, was to teach him to smoke cigar and then tell him that's a bad thing. And ever since that happened, my son never stopped smoking cigarettes for life. So good on you, Ozzy.
That's a good tip.
Good tip, buddy. Good tip. So those are all great, man. Great stories, and it was very inspiring meeting, going to his house when I broke up from Sepultura, and I was creating Soulfly, and he kind of gave me a bunch of like really encouraging words about, because he's been in the same shoes with Black Sabbath, so I was telling him I was like talking about something that he knows very well about it. Yeah, you got kicked out of your band. It fucking sucks. It fucking hurts. But it's like, it's up to you to get back on your feet, man. Nobody's gonna do that for you. You have to do that yourself. And it was great. It was great to hear that from him.
Did he give you any further advice beyond just get back out and do it?
No, pretty much that was the main thing, was like, it's like really up to you. Like, don't count on other people doing it for you. You have to do it. Like, it's almost like the same as if you want to stop drinking or stop doing drugs. You have to do it for yourself and not for nobody else. If you do it for somebody else, it's not going to work. You have to do it for yourself. Right. So it was kind of like the same equivalent of that, and that was fantastic. That was I was in his house, surrounded by all his gold records, and I think he played me some Black Sabbath demos. Some Ozzy demos that he was working on it, and I was trying not to. I was pinching myself, trying to keep it cool. But inside, I was freaking out because if you told the teenage Max Cavalera that he was going to be hanging out with Ozzy and Ozzy is going to play some unheard Ozzy Osbourne demos, I would have probably fucking shit my pants, So I was trying to be as cool as a professional as I could be, but I was freaking out that I was hanging out on his house like the coolest thing ever.
All right. Well, Max, I'm sure you've inspired many people, including myself, with those same feelings. Because again, just watching you and your career try on these different projects and really do what it is you're good at. And the new Killer Be Killed Reluctant Hero album's fantastic. I'm very stoked about Go Ahead and Die. Anyone who likes thrash metal and punk rock, dial it up on your streaming services. Go Ahead and Die. It's Max's new album with his son, Igor Amadeus Cavalera, and Zach Coleman. Go Ahead and Die, available now. Nuclearblast.de has all sorts of vinyl of Go Ahead and Die that you can get shipped right to you right now. So there we go. Max, thank you so much for coming on the Vinyl Guide, and we hope to have you back, and we'll hear more of those crazy stories.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, man. And thanks for being a fan. And thanks for the great conversation. It was a blast. I had a blast.
You got it. Oh man, I could just talk to that guy for hours. Mr. Max Cavalera, the new album, Go Ahead and Die. Head up there to the streaming services, download it, listen to it loud. It is friggin' awesome. Buy a vinyl copy from Nuclear Blast or bother your local record shop to get them to stock it and get it from them. The money stays in the community. You support the record shop. Everyone wins. That's Go Ahead and Die. And again, if you enjoyed this conversation, head up to patreon.com/vinylguide. There is more of this interview up there for patrons of the show. Join us at patreon.com/vinylguide. Enjoy all the extra episodes and extended interviews and help support the show. That is hugely appreciated. Patreon.com/vinylguide. And that's it for this episode of The Vinyl Guide. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate all your sharing of these episodes on social media. That's hugely helpful. Please subscribe to this podcast. Show your friends how to subscribe to this podcast. And let's spread the Vinyl Guide goodness all around. We'll be back shortly with a brand new episode. So until we talk next time, get out there and buy some records, people. Cheers.